In today's Leeds news, late departures don't worry Farka, what's happening with the Ljubicic situation, Gnonto's Everton change, and reports link Brahima Diarra to Leeds. Morning folks, Jay here on Monday morning the 29th of July. Just under 2 weeks now to go until the start of the season. One more televised pre-season friendly against Valencia for Leeds coming up this weekend before we get into the real action and the start of the 24-25 championship season. I know I'm very excited about it. I know everybody else is very excited about it. There's still some work to do, but having seen the pre-season friendlies so far, I think we can agree that Leeds United side is starting to look pretty decent right now, and the bench is also starting to look pretty strong, assuming nobody else leaves, and if they do leave, that replacements of a decent quality come in to replace them. We've got some information on that today. Before we get into this, I just wanted to do one quick shout out. You may or may not know another Leeds United content creator called Jack City. Jack is in the music industry and has just released his new single Before I Die. You can see the thumbnail over here. The information on this is also in the chat. If you want to help Jack to break the music industry, it's a cracking track. If you're into your R&B, go check it out. It's really, really good. All the details is below in the description, and nice to support another Leeds United content creator and that, so you can check out Jack City's new track, Before I Die. Details all down below. Moving on to the news, and let's start off with some information on Daniel Farke's conversations with the Leeds journalists over the week, and late departures being the hot topic of conversation. Baron Cross has done a really good piece in Leeds Live today where he's looked at the possibility of Crescencio Somerville and Willie Gnonto leaving Leeds very late in the transfer window, but he says Daniel Farke is pretty relaxed about it and has solutions should that happen. The games so far in pre-season have seen no Chris Somerville in the starting 11, and we didn't see him in the Schalke game due to a small hamstring issue that he picked up leading into that game. But it may start to look like Daniel Farke is already planning for life without Somerville and is having a look at his options and is planning ahead, which for me personally is very smart planning, and something he should be looking at is a contingency plan. The timing of Somerville and Gnonto's departures from Leeds are something that I've talked about over the last couple of weeks, stating that the earlier it happens, the better for Leeds. But obviously you want them to stay, but if they are going to go, they should go early, so Leeds kept an appropriate amount of time to get a replacement in. But Leeds kick off to the championship in less than 2 weeks, as I said, and as of right now both players are still here, so this could very easily go into the start of the championship season. Brighton and West Ham are two clubs that have already had a look at Crescencio Somerville in this window, and after initial talks with Leeds United have backed away from a move for the player. Brighton also had similar conversations with Leeds United about a move for Jorginho Rutter, but after hearing a price tag there, have also backed away from negotiations. Everton's situation with Willie Gnonto is said to still be one of interest in the player, but they've just signed Jesper Lindstrom and Jake O'Brien, and adding another winger to that list plus their financial situations may mean that they're not in a position to get Willie Gnonto, but there's more information on that in a couple of minutes. In the piece done by Baron Cross, he talks about the increasing anxiety that fans will have leading into the start of the season and closer to the end of the window if these players don't move on, and the speculation around them continues to grow. But it should also be said they could stay, and that would be a massive bonus for Leeds United, and one that I think every single Leeds United fan would be delighted to see. This squad right now with a Willie Gnonto and a Chris Somerville going into the start of the season and staying with Leeds for at least the first half of the season would be massively beneficial for this squad. But you don't know and you don't want a situation like we had last season with Luis Sinisterra, where it went into the final days of the window and we lost the player and we got Jadon Anthony in return, but how much of an impact did Jadon Anthony really have versus what kind of impact would Luis Sinisterra have had? So similar situation with Cree, but Cross says that as of 5 p.m. on July 27, Daniel Farke had no reason to believe that there was anything imminent around a Somerville or Gnonto exit or any other player for that matter of fact. Farke on the situation has basically said the following: if you are working with anxiety in this business, then you're working in the wrong position. We know at the moment we are not PSG or Real Madrid. We can't just afford each and every player. We spoke quite openly and honestly about a player forcing us into a situation where we have sometimes to think about the financial situation within the rules. For that, yes, perhaps our hands are a little bit more tied than some other clubs. On the Somerville and Gnonto departures themselves, he said, we need to be there with smart decisions and overall no anxiety, because there are many players who want to play for this Leeds shirt. If one or two players leave, I am pretty sure we will find good solutions, but I hope at the moment our best solutions are staying. The best solutions obviously being Chris Somerville and Willie Gnonto staying at Leeds United. But it's the longer it goes on, and the less likely Big Six clubs come in to afford the fees that Leeds are looking for, the more likely it looks that he'll stay at the club. But there will be serious interest in the player the more the window goes on, and the closer it gets to that deadline, you will likely see the Big Six kick into action. Liverpool right now have barely started any of their pre-season signings, so more movement from them would be expected. From a Leeds signing perspective, and looking at one that was linked at the back end of last week and would be one that Leeds seem to be keen to get done, is Dejan Ljubicic. But where are we with the situation here? Leeds moved from here late last week and had a £3.3 million bid for the player rejected. But with the player in the last 12 months of his contract, and with the player himself stating that he wanted to leave the club, it appeared that one more offer from Leeds would see Leeds return from Germany's pre-season camp with the squad and a new central midfielder in tow. But that hasn't gone as easily as maybe me thought that it would go. Ljubicic started for FC Cologne yesterday in their pre-season friendly against Udinese and scored the winner in a 3-2 win against the Italians. Their sporting director Keller has also said continuously that he does not want to sell the player, and he wants the player to remain at the club to help FC Cologne get promoted back into the Bundesliga at the first chance of asking next season. From a Leeds perspective, there are a lot of reasons why Leeds would want a player like Dejan Ljubicic, and if you think about the profile of player Daniel Farke has already spoken about, and at the back end of last season, he's looking at adding experience, more height and more versatility to that squad. If you look at Ljubicic, he's a central midfielder who is 6'2" in height, has plenty of experience under his belt, and will be seen as a very versatile midfielder who can play as a 6, play as an 8, or play further up the pitch as he did at the weekend. And one other thing that Daniel Farke talked about last week was they must be affordable, and at a transfer fee that could be less than £5 million, you would see Dejan Ljubicic fitting into that bracket pretty well. It's check marks right across the board. From a outside of Leeds perspective, Fabrizio Romano spoke on this player over the course of this weekend, and he said that Leeds are very much still interested in the player and see him as their primary target, although other targets have been linked with Leeds over the course of this weekend. Moving back onto the Willy Gnonto situation and where he sits with Everton right now and what's been going on now. Up till this point, we have been under the understanding that Everton are pretty confident of getting a deal done, rumoured to be in and around £22 million for the Leeds United winger. However, Everton have just confirmed the signing of Jesper Lindstrom at the weekend, who is a winger. They also have Jack Harrison from Leeds. And they have now confirmed the signing of Jake O'Brien for £17 million, which means that their outlay of cash from what they've been bringing in is getting a little bit tighter. Everton have a financial fair play situation to keep in mind, and according to reports, they are working tirelessly within that FFP bracket to make sure they don't see a repeat of what happened last season and get another points deduction into this year. Report states that Everton are a club that are now going to look for primarily instalment-based signings only moving forward, and a bid for Willy Gnonto would likely take the form of some money up front and the rest on instalments over a couple of years. The YEP says that Leeds have an internal valuation of Willy Gnonto 1 that has not been shared publicly, and Leeds won't share it publicly either, and Leeds won't be selling the player unless that price valuation is met by another club. Whether Leeds would accept an instalment based one over a couple of seasons, we don't really know. Leeds could do with the money up front to bring in a direct replacement of serious quality for Willy Gnonto, or maybe this instalment and breaking up of the payment would help Leeds longer term with their instalment based payouts that they need to pay over the course of the next few seasons. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. He looked very good against Schalke. I thought it was the best pre-season game that Willy's had been involved in. Played more than 45 minutes, which to me suggests that he's very likely to be involved and from the start for the Valencia game, and fingers crossed on that. Again, I say, if Leeds can hang on to Somerville and Gnonto on top of what they've already brought in this summer, that's a really strong looking squad, and the bench is looking really strong compared to last season. Far more options for Daniel Farke, and one that I'm really excited about seeing if we can hang on to them. But if we can't, we have to get other players in. There is some reports about some incoming potential rumoured players for Leeds United, and one comes from Foot Mercato, and according to a report over the weekend from Foot Mercato, Leeds are along with other clubs in the Championship are having a look at central midfielder Brahima Diarra, who last season was at Huddersfield before opting to not renew his contract and seek options elsewhere. He was frozen out of the Huddersfield team towards the back end of the season because he wouldn't sign a new deal at the club, and is now said to be on the radar for Leeds United as a free transfer. But not just Leeds, Burnley also having a look at the player, as well as some other clubs in the Championship. The player himself is currently at the Olympics with Mali, so any decision around his future isn't likely to happen until after that tournament finishes at some point next week. Mali are not expected to get to the finals of that tournament, so he could make a decision sooner on that, but it will be one that will likely go beyond the closing of the window, because as a free agent, he doesn't have to make a decision within the transfer window. He can sign for a team at any point outside of a window. The report says that Diarra is prioritising playing minutes next season over anything else and wants to be guaranteed minutes in any side, something that Leeds United are very unlikely to offer any player out of the bat, especially a free agent that was at Huddersfield last season. Leeds will expect players to want to come in and compete for places, and they won't be guaranteeing anyone any time. This to me feels very much like an agent making some noise around the player who's out of contract, a free agent, and is currently not training with any championship level clubs right now. So this looks like, to me, a possible option of an agent drumming up some noise around the player to get more interest in him over the next week or so. But we'll see. It's a free transfer. It could be one that Leeds look to bring in as cover further down the line. He won't be guaranteed starting minutes at Leeds, so we'll have to wait and see with that one. But as of right now, that is all the news floating around from a Leeds United perspective. Private jet watch has begun over on X.com though as well. So if you want to see if there's a player possibly coming in from Cologne on a private jet for Leeds sometime this evening, you can check that out as well. But always take those with a massive pinch of salt. There's plenty of private jets flying in and out of Leeds on a regular basis. So not necessarily mean anything, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's available for you as well. And again, just a reminder again, please do check out Jack City's new track, which is linked down below. You can get all the details for that. I help another Leeds United fan and a Leeds United content creator and a good guy to get back into the music industry where I think he belongs. Track's a fantastic track. I've listened to it all weekend. I think it's a banger. Go check it out if you want to. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news, unless anything else dramatic happens this evening. See you then.